Ari Shaffir, ladies and gentlemen. Ari Shaffir, my brother.
Yeah, bro.
Let me do a little warning up front that.
Oh yeah, I got a new stem in my heart, and so there's gonna be some banging. So it's chugging along, so you might hear some stuff.
We're in an apartment on the Bowery,
A great apartment.
Lower Manhattan. It's beautiful. We got the windows open, and there's a construction site equal to our floor level with what, 18, 20 construction workers. And I woke up to this hammering sound, but it's a little lighter. But you're going to be hearing some hammering sounds.
I love when they're like, "No, we don't start till 9." You're like, "Well, that's too early." And also, you do start before 9, but you know nobody's gonna call the cops and get them over here before 9 to say like they're hammering.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the worst. Start at noon.
I
Noon
live next to
7.
CBS Television City in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
and they're not supposed to start until I think like 8, and sometimes they're hammering and sawing at like 6:30.
Really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So water balloons.
What do you mean?
I'm kidding.
Oh, launch them. Oh, dude, yeah. Dude, yeah.
So definitely got to start this podcast by thanking you profusely for. Oh, thanks. A little chilly.
No, it was the sound.
Oh, thanks. Because of you, you are the reason that I got my diamond medallion status back on Delta Airlines.
Yeah, I am so excited about that.
I didn't think it was possible.
when the positivity works, I'm trying more and more in my life. Instead of attacking people like "fuck you," be like, "Hey, you get it? Don't you want to do this? Don't you want to help this man across the street? You're awesome, right?" And people are like, "Yeah, you're right," or they won't, but then it's on them.
So if
you got your diamond status.
If you missed the story, I was lowered. You need 125,000 miles to reach diamond status.
Yeah.
Delta changed it to you also had to spend $15,000. I flew 155,000. I only spent 13,000, and I was complaining about it on your podcast, and you said no. I think Delta cares.
Yeah.
They're a company with a heart. I think if enough of my listeners tweet now to Delta Airlines to do the right thing, that they're gonna fix this.
You were more broken up over this loss of diamond status than when your dad died.
I think, well, yeah, and maybe my marriage too.
And maybe your marriage. I was gonna say that one, but I'm like, that might be too fresh.
And then the pursuit of my obsession with my diamond status and the obsession with making that new album definitely kept me away from home.
I can't believe it though. We were like, no, it's gonna happen. I even said like the podcast I released, like, this is brought to you by Delta, who does the right thing, something like that.
Well, and I was sitting there, and I'm a very optimistic person, and I'm thinking it's not going to happen, and you're even more optimistic than I am.
I was not that optimistic, but I do like playing it that way. If you're not going to get it, like, just play it that way.
And then surprisingly, so
what did they do?
When you released the episode,
yeah,
your listeners were so fantastic. Oh. For 48 hours after you, and even now, there's still stray ones that...
Yeah, I got to say my introduction this week that we did it.
Yeah. And then for 48 hours, hundreds of people tweeted to Delta Airlines, and I hate Twitter. I kind of avoid it.
Yeah, you should.
Because it's so much hate and frustration on there, and this is finally a good story of what a good tool Twitter can be.
Yeah.
So I get this call from Delta Airlines. And the woman said, "I'm a specialist. I'm in charge of social media, and we've been monitoring the situation, and we've reviewed your case. And this one time only, we are going to reinstate your."
They called you.
Called me.
Wow.
How often does an airline call someone?
I reviewed your case.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we're gonna let you in.
But obviously, she goes. We've been monitoring the situation on Twitter. So we reviewed your case. So it was.
It's like Family Guy says when Peter was writing for the TV. He was writing for TV or something like that. I don't know how he got that, but like they got a couple complaints. They're like, we have 8 complaints, and as you know, each complaint equals 1 billion people. So so we need to handle this right now. Yeah. Wow.
So I already love you. I mean more than my brothers, in fact. But this is above and beyond one of the best gifts. I can't believe you did
Yeah,
this.
next time you get bumped up to first class or something on a long flight because of your diamond status, just take a picture and tag me in it on Instagram or whatever.
Well, and it happened flying to San Francisco.
You,
I mean, from here to New York, Saturday night, I had 2 shows
Yeah.
in San Francisco at the Punchline.
Oh, great club.
And there's this kid that I love named PJ. And he's a DJ, event organizer in San Francisco. And he always brings like 20 people to see me. He brought this big group, and it was his birthday. My flight was at 7 a.m. So I did the 2 shows, finished at like midnight. And then I hung out with him and his friends until like 4:30 in the morning. I was already packed.
Yeah.
I went straight to the airport. I'm exhausted. And Delta, they upgraded me to first class, and it was a huge plane, and they actually had the sleeper beds.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like,
You got that?
I was exhausted,
Oh.
and so you reinstating my diamond status is how I got bumped up on the flight here, and like, oh my God, from San Francisco to New York, I just put the bed down and stretched out.
The difference between like kind of sleeping against the window, if you got a decent window seat, where it's like you get like 2.5 hours over the 6, versus laying down and getting a 5.5 hour real REM sleep.
That's what happened.
Wow, cool.
And I got these slippers I'm wearing.
Oh, on the thing, dude. All my travel like toiletries bags that I use are all from like Emirates or whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever you get one of those long flights, you get like, I'm using this.
I got tons of them too. So what other Good Samaritan deeds have you done?
I don't know, but what I'm trying to do is I'm moving into a new apartment on the 15th, probably the 1st, moving fully. I want to make a wall and do like a good deed a day. I feel like if I can set my mind to just doing one, hold the door open, doesn't have to be crazy, then it'll like improve my overall outlook in life.
You might be the only one in America with this attitude right now.
Hey, but I think we all need it. I think it's just like if you concentrate on doing some good things for somebody. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see how much I get to.
But are you consciously trying to do good deeds? I mean, I know we're friends.
I did. You
took up my banner.
Yeah, I did like a year
like
ago.
your causes are my causes.
Like,
Vice versa. That's the way friendship works.
Yeah. No, I want to just try that for like a year. See if I can do one a day. That's not very much. But I think it'll focus your. They were doing the study on like the people who write angry stuff on YouTube and comments on like what their real lives are, and they showed a direct correlation. That shit bleeds into your life. The more anger you have, even if it's like fake, like, hey, fuck you, random celebrity, it's like you don't just leave that there.
Yeah.
Then you're like more curt with your friends and your family. So yeah, vice versa. Concentrate on a good thing.
So you think we've lost civility in this country?
Yeah, for sure. No one's kind. I do this thing where I'm like, I have to get help with this broken arm with like opening a bottle of water.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal, but you got to stop someone in the street. When I try to twist and I can't do the twisting motion, so I just have to stop. My kid, would you mind opening this? And the distrust you see. I mean, maybe it's
really?
New York.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
so like, most people won't do it.
They don't want to, but then I showed them my broken arm, and you can see them do the math in their head of like, I can't get out of this. If that is a broken arm and it's not a scam, there's no way I can get out of this and still live with myself. So I'll just take the scam. I'll just allow this scam to happen. And then when I open it and there's no scam, it's just a bottle of water or kombucha or something, then it hits them like, oh, I did something nice for a human. That's been years. And they just feel happier.
So maybe you could just keep this cast even after you're healed.
Yeah, maybe. And then make it a scam. Bash the shit out of people over the head like the old Lyman did in the 70s.
So I did the Bennington show yesterday.
Yeah, fun show.
And I don't know if you know this or not, but Ron Bennington is one of my heroes in life. When I was young...
You're a Florida guy.
I'm a Florida guy.
Oh.
And Bennington really kind of changed the world for me. I worked with him in Jacksonville when I was 18. I was still in high school.
Yeah.
And he said, he goes, I got this club in Florida in the 80s, like everybody was pretty hacky and it was just total crappy comedy.
Did it all for the nookie. Wasn't he from there?
Well, who's that?
Did it all for the nookie.
I don't know who that is.
So you get that cookie. Fuck. The guy with the red baseball cap.
It
was like metal rap.
But Bennington had this club in Clearwater, and he said you should start coming down and playing my club. So playing his club, he was the driving force of pushing people to be more creative and
really?
Be more experimental and to not be hacky. So like to meet him and him be this guiding light, and then he became a great friend to me, like a kind of a mentor. And then also when I was 19, he gave me Jack Kerouac's On the Road, which like changed my life. And then I ended up moving to San Francisco. So
Wow.
I just have absolute nothing but love for this guy, and had a great conversation with him yesterday on his show, and so he was talking to me about my marriage ending. Like he listened to the podcast that I did with Ashna our last day together, and
Oh
he
yeah.
thought that was very bold to put out these raw feelings like that. And his advice to me was, you need to be like Ari Shaffir, and instead of getting into a relationship, you should just adopt a young female comedian. So, so I said, what do you mean by that? He goes, ask Ari. So what did he mean by that?
I adopted Jessica Michelle Singleton.
Oh, I love her.
Oh yeah, she's my daughter now.
Oh, I love Jessica.
Yeah, we went to it took us months and months and almost a year. We talked about it. Her dad's like a crazy person or dead maybe, and her mom's a deadbeat. And so I was like, I'll be your dad. So we went through
that's
the
awesome.
process. Yeah, we went in yesterday.
Oh,
2 days ago?
you're really doing it.
Oh, it's done.
You're
She's
it's
my
not
daughter.
a joke. You're really
Yeah, we
adopting.
went into the thing. We were the first meeting. The judge comes in. It's not a one of those you stand for the judge situation. They're like, make sure you sit down. She came and she goes, all right, do you want him to be your father figure, or do you see that way? And she goes, yeah. She goes, all right, sign here. And she read more. She goes, Ari, do you want your daughter to get sign here? It's like, all right, that's your daughter. You're her father.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we went out and there was all these real people with like young
Yeah.
children, like between like babies and like 3 years old. And they're all like, congratulations, you guys. And we're like, oh, thanks. We're doing this as a joke though. But yeah, it's real.
That's awesome.
I got a daughter now, a 30-year-old daughter.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. I mean, it changes the world. You stop thinking about yourself and you really start thinking about, your legacy.
Yeah, more Christmas presents to buy. That's
can't wait.
awesome. Now, I didn't know you had any connection with her at all. And 2 weeks ago, I saw her at the Comedy Store in L.A.
JMS, yeah.
And and the next time I didn't get to talk to her that night, but then I actually talked to her at Brody Stevens Memorial when I saw her. She did such a brave, ballsy set. And I told her, I said, you really inspired me watching, because she was talking about her mental illness and freaking people out with problems she's had and shit like this, and talk about
Suicide talk.
yeah, and suicide talk, and just talk about putting raw nerves out there. And I told her, I said, I was watching you, and I was like going, God damn, wow, like.
This
I
is
said,
at the memorial?
no. I saw her do the set
And then
2
you
weeks
saw-
before, and then I saw her I saw her a week before, and then
Yeah.
I complimented her when I saw her after the
She's
memorial
good.
thing. I couldn't believe it. I told
Yeah.
her, and she was like, "Oh, thank you," and I'm like, "No, thank you, because I'm going through some shit in my life with getting divorced and everything, and I'm watching you, and I'm like it inspired me to be more brave and put more of my real life and my real feelings out there, because
Wow.
like she was, and the audience was uncomfortable a couple times when she was talking about suicide and stuff, but like I couldn't have been more impressed. I thought
If you can do that and keep them,
I
make them uncomfortable and then bring them back, then it's like you've done your
I
job.
thought she was hilarious,
Yeah.
like in the realest, most authentic way.
Especially when you think about it in terms of Brody, where it's like, we're sort of, when you do hear someone have suicidal thoughts or talk, it does make everyone uncomfortable and you kind of just don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you just don't want it to be true.
Yeah.
You don't want them to even be going through that, so you don't want to hear it, but it doesn't make it go away. So then people just like bottle it up and then they let it out the way Brody did.
Well, it seemed like Brody was having more troubles a few years ago.
Yeah.
And in the last year, I really thought he had his shit together. And then 2 nights before he killed himself, I was leaving the Comedy Store, and he actually stopped me. He was out front, and he said, "Hey, Tom, I'm sorry to hear you're having some troubles now." And like, I've reviewed that moment in my head like the Zapruder film. Like, fuck, why wasn't I more perceptive that he was having some troubles? But I think everybody felt that way.
Yeah. I had it where it's like, yeah, you do that same thing too. Last time we talked to them, should I have I'm actually okay with my dealings with Brody. He was beyond help for years. I saw Zach like five years ago or something. He's like, how's Brody doing? And it was like, not good. I think he's slipping again. And then it was just like years long of just this like pain. When I heard somebody,
a few years ago.
Yeah,
like he was. He was.
Yeah, but then he got better.
Yeah.
And then it started devolving again. And then the last year, he's like, "No, I'm off my meds," and it's like, "Fuck, Brody." But it's like,
but everybody loved that guy so much, and then it was kind of beautiful at the Comedy Store the next couple nights. Like everybody, I've never seen so much love at the Comedy Store. Everybody was like, "How are you doing? Are you?" Everybody was so concerned about each other.
It's so weird. It
and
happens,
hugging each other.
I was getting texts.
Yeah,
it happens when a loved person. When Freddie Soto died, you know him?
I loved Freddie. Yeah,
that was the first one of my since I started there that I was like, someone died that everyone kind of loved and knew.
Yeah.
And that was the same thing. Everyone just showed up. They didn't know what else to do.
Well, no comedian better kill himself anytime soon because they'll never be able to follow the memorial that Brody had.
Yeah.
That was a really powerful memorial.
He was so obsessed with fame too. I was talking to David Taylor about it. It was like, if you ask Brody, like at your funeral, at your memorial, do you want tons of people or 7 massive celebrities? He'd be like, celebrities for sure. Yeah, and he got both.
Well, you weren't at the memorial. So like when you arrived at the Comedy Store, like the whole, like from when you enter the patio and then you go around the side, all along the wall, the side, and then around the back side wall, all the way through the hallway, they had all these massive blow up photos of Brody with all these different celebrities. And somebody said during the memorial, they said, we didn't have those. You saw those photos when you came in, everybody? We didn't have those made up for the memorial. Those were all hanging in Brody's apartment. His apartment was like a shrine to himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's such a weird guy.
I loved that guy, and I loved the fact that he loved baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he would kill himself right before baseball season is kind of.
Did you see Joe Madden talk about him?
Yeah, it was really cool.
I had Raph asked me, he was like, "Are you going to go?" And I was like, "No, I have these plans that I think Brody would want me to do that instead of I'm going to go to spring training and go see my parents."
Nice.
And I think like that's the best way I could honor him, like do the shit he would have wanted to do.
Yeah. Where do your parents live?
Well, they were visiting Florida when
Okay.
I was going there for gigs, so I was like, I'm going to go a few days early and see them. They live in Maryland.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He's such a tough one. Somebody said too, he was like everybody's pet. Like nobody really got to know him, but everyone loved him around.
Yeah.
So like it really was like a loss of the family dog. What a weird, cool guy though. Yeah, last time I saw him.
And now you laugh. All those quirky things that he did.
Yeah, you could find his joke notebook and you'd be like, none of this is funny. You'd have to read it in his voice. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm from the 818. Okay, where's the joke from? I'm from the 818. You don't tell me. You know, like, where's the joke in that? But it still gets laughs. You know?
I just always love that. He tells a joke and it doesn't go over it. And now you laugh.
He opened for me and Rogan. He was there for spring training in Phoenix. We were in Phoenix. And Rogan was like, come do sets with us. And so the first one, and that's just kind of his homecoming club. And the first one didn't go well. And the second one did. They got his like fake anger.
Yeah.
And he goes, he's like almost all the way through the second set. And he goes, 1 for 2. Where it's like, just such a fun, it was just such fun breaking it down like the walls of stand-up to show it's something else. Yeah, and now you laugh.
So how did you break your arm?
Skiing, racing.
Oh, I would never ski.
Why? It's beautiful.
I grew up water skiing in Florida. You fall and it's soft water and
yeah, you can still break your neck.
Ever since Sonny Bono ran into that tree,
I started skiing in the trees. You know, lately, I never was like, no, that's crazy. That's where you die. And then I got the joy of it. And I'm like,
so would you just fall and put your wrist down wrong?
I was racing Ryan O'Neal, who's better than me, and going like all out of control.
The actor Ryan O'Neal?
No, I wish. No, the failing comedian Ryan O'Neal.
Okay.
Who, by the way, I didn't realize had stopped racing almost immediately. Just watched me be out of control. He just like, let's go, and then just stopped. And I thought he was on my ass the whole time. Yeah, I couldn't turn, and I was just straight lining it. Hit a snowboarder and just flew. And yeah, I guess I put my hand down. But yeah, cracked it. I got a pin in there. I got another crack. It's my offhand. It really doesn't bother me that much. It's annoying, but it's fine. but whatever.
If New Yorkers
3
open
months.
your water, it's a good deal.
Yeah. It's fun though. Skiing is really like. Do you do anything where you're like meditative activities, like water skiing? You can't like take your mind off the task. You got to keep your eye on the water. Do you do anything like that? Golf? I don't know. Hiking?
No. Well, it's funny because on Instagram, I never seen Instagram memories before, but right before you came, it said 1 year ago today, I had a motorcycle accident in Vietnam.
Oh.
And I've been afraid of motorcycles my whole life. My father flew helicopters in Vietnam. He was shot down. Everyone in the helicopter died except for him and his co-pilot.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
And he dragged him across a field under heavy fire. And, my dad got like 5-6 medals for this one incident. So I've always had this obsession with Vietnam because of my dad. And, I did Viva Vietnam for Comedy Central years ago, where I went there when it first opened for Americans to travel. But my motorcycle story, I had a dirt bike accident when I was 14 in Oviedo, Florida. Some neighborhood kid, Nate Stout, had a dirt bike, and everybody was taking turns on it, and I did the front brake, and I went over the handlebars, and I kind of tore a ligament in my arm, and I missed a baseball season, which was a big deal when you're 14. So was afraid of motorcycles my whole life. Years later, when I was doing the Dutch travel show in Peru, we were filming at the Nazca Lines. And we had stopped. The producer and the director were having an issue. And I just start picking up rocks and throwing them. And some guy comes, I see him way in the distance, on this little motorcycle, little Honda 150. And he comes up and he says, "Please don't throw the rocks. Those are the Nazca Lines." And he was...
What is that?
The Nazca Lines are these desert drawings that weren't discovered until the 1920s when aircraft flew over.
And they could see all that from above?
They're before the Inca people.
Wow.
So
and you were picking up those rocks?
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, you don't know.
I'm a moron. I was throwing them like baseballs.
Yeah.
So it's pretty impressive. One is a condor. One looks like an astronaut. They think that these... that there were UFO landing strips. And you go up, we flew over it. It looks like UFO landing strips between these drawings. So the guy was really nice.
Where is that in Vietnam?
No, that's in Peru.
Oh, okay.
The guy was really nice, and he let me drive his little motorcycle around the Nazca Lines. And I kind of got over my fear a little bit. So that was the second time I've been on a motorcycle. Ashna's brother teaches motorcycle classes in Rotterdam. So... the guy who has the gig in Hanoi that you should do if you've never done, this English guy,
I've not done it.
he also gives motorcycle tours of the north of Vietnam.
Ooh.
So from the last time I was there, I wanted to go back and go on this motorcycle adventure, Vietnam, because of my dad, and really be a badass and break my fear of being on a motorcycle.
That's the place.
In Vietnam.
Yeah.
And so the summer before, one day I spent with Ashna's brother in Rotterdam, him giving me the motorcycle lessons. So that's the third time I've been on a motorcycle in my life. So the fourth time was 1 year ago today. I did the gig in Hanoi, stayed over 2 days, and then he and I went, and we were 45 miles north of Hanoi,
Wow.
going up this mountain road. And so you're asking me about, where you're focused. So I was laser focused on everything.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
Driving that motorcycle
driving does it. You can't
and, no distractions. I'm trying to be as careful as possible. And we're going up this mountain road, and big trucks are coming from the other side with thin, windy mountain road. And I got too close to the edge, and I was avoiding the edges. And the motorcycle just went out from under me in a split second, and my head hit the street. I was wearing a helmet, and I jumped up. And I'm instantly stretching and feeling my body. And the only thing that happened was I skinned my elbow. I was so lucky.
Thai tattoo.
Yeah. And then
wow, really?
5-10 minutes later, we were at the little village.
That's crazy.
On top of the mountain. We went into the first aid kit station. The guy cleans it, puts a bandage on it, and
And that's it?
that was it.
Oh, you got lucky.
I could have been seriously fucked up.
I was driving to Dili in East Timor, and the roads are so shitty. But as it gets towards the capital, it starts getting better and better.
On a motorcycle?
Moped.
Okay.
But you can go 90, 100K, and since it had gone back to like real street now, I was like opening it up and going that fast, and then I hit like a little bump, and I did the wobble thing.
Yeah.
And I was able to like put it back, like hold it, but it was like I was like, "Fuck, be careful."
That's when you're going down.
Yeah, like stop. Oh, it's so scary. I want to learn how to drive a motorcycle. I only know the moped shit, but most of those places are like, we don't have the automatic ones, so I don't know what to tell you.
Was it 1 up, 2, 4 down, or the other way around?
I don't
the gears.
I don't know. The moped is just pulling it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Oh, it's so fun though.
You've been to East Timor? That's incredible. They were having a civil war like 10 years ago, weren't they?
16 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
17.
being in Australia, and that was always the news, like this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I got my head
sending
actually.
Australian troops in to like calm shit down in East Timor.
Yeah, they declared independence, and then Indonesia was like, "Fuck that," and they killed a quarter of the population inside like a few months.
And you thought, hey, that's a great place to vacation.
Well, so I didn't want to go. I had my half brother's a captain in the army, and I told him I was thinking of it because you know how certain countries, like we talked about this, they just get in your head. Just certain countries or cities are like it just sticks. You just got Burabata. What is it in Mongolia?
Ulaanbaatar.
Ulaanbaatar. That's in my head now. You know.
You have to go to Mongolia.
Yeah, no, I'm going. It's like
that
one of the
club
ones
is
in
so
my head.
fantastic.
Yeah, and other cities you hear about, you're like,
And I
that
told
sounds
you, and
cool.
the people are stunning.
Yeah. So it was always in my head, and then I was in Indonesia and talked to a guy from Jakarta, and I was like, I wanted to go to there, but my brother told me like it's just too dangerous, and he goes, "Oh no, man, that's done. It's done."
Where? Jakarta?
No.
East Timor.
East Timor.
Yeah.
So they had their independence war and then a civil war, but it ended hard like 6 or 7 years ago. Because it's illegal now to say, who's this guy from the fucking north side? Like, you'll go to jail if you even bring that shit up. Like, if it gets as bad as that in America, it'd be the point where, like, who fucking got a Trump voter in here? Like, you're going to jail. For even bringing that up, you're going to jail. We don't want that fucking divisiveness anymore.
Right.
So he goes, there's only reason the travel advisory is because they don't do trade with America. So fucking go. And I loved it. It was so unexplored.
What was great about it?
Unexplored. It was like, so there's like, I was in Dili, and then there was like a note on a hostel wall that says, there's a hut in this town.
Did you dally while you were in Dili?
Yeah, I absolutely did. I went to
Sorry for the pun.
cockfighting.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, it was so cool. There are these cockfights behind the mall, and so I went to the mall, went to the parking lot behind it. It was nothing, and then I'm like, I don't know. I looked around nothing, and then I just started. I was like, fuck it, I'll just drive. Again, moped, just freeing, and I saw this old man, 70 years old, slowly shuffling, holding what would look like a chicken or a rooster in his hand. And I was like, I bet he's going to the cockfights. And I just like watched him slowly shuffle by me, and then I like took my motorcycle, went past him by about 300 yards. In my rear view, I waited, let him catch up, and then pass me again.
Yeah.
Did that 2 times until he turned into an alley, and I'm like, it's got to be in there. And I followed him in. There were these fucking cockfights.
Wow, you just followed a guy with a rooster into an alley?
Yeah, and it was amazing. Everyone's gambling. It's so much fun. You learn the word for red or white, and that's the one you bet on. And it's a cockfight ring that was sponsored by the head general of the army. He had cockfighting in his village, and he wanted to make it something grand.
Yeah.
It was so cool and brutal, but so interesting. I probably lost like $12. Everyone was like, this fucking idiot doesn't know who to bet on. I'm like, I don't. It was so much fun, though. God, it was great. And so then you see these things of like, there's a waterfall in this town. There's no maps. There's no like, Google, like go to the waterfall. You get there, you learn the words for water and fall and Tetum. And then like, oh yeah. And they're like, it's over that hill or something. You get there, you ask somebody else, like, no, that way. And then you find it. I just love that unexplored shit. And then you finally find the waterfall. And you're like, yeah, it took me fucking 6 hours to find it.
Did you go there by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. You meet an occasional other traveler, or you learn the words for place to sleep, Fatum Descansa.
Wasn't there, I hope it's okay to bring this up, wasn't there like some girl you liked in Hong Kong or something? Wasn't that like another reason you were going back to Asia?
There was a girl I knew who I did drugs with.
Okay.
I'm friends with. She was a girlfriend of one of the guys in the comedy scene.
Okay.
But she's like a real like catalyst for me to like go to those places. She was like, go to a full moon party. It's great. And then I was like, okay. I planned it. She came to visit me. She was one who fucking learned how to like buy Ritalin and chop it up and snort it. She's just a drug addict. You met her. You met her in Hong Kong.
Okay.
Andrew Newman's girlfriend, Sarah. They're broken up now, but like, so yeah, she was like, we're going to go to Phnom Penh or to go to Angkor Wat. Come meet me there on the whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure. So she's just like a catalyst for me to go places. She's great. She knows how to bargain for drugs, man. You need that shit out there.
You never worried about doing drugs in Southeast Asia? No.
You look at like the other whites and see how scared they are. So in Thailand, in Bangkok, the first time I was like talking about weed, and a couple people were like, oh no, dude, they'll put you in jail. They might test your blood if you have it from another country.
Yeah. And
then you talk to someone who lives there, not a Thai person, but like a white person who lives there, and like, nah, you just go to an alley. I mean, they could, but they're not gonna. It's kind of like weed here in New York. I'm like, they could arrest you, but if you're white, they're not gonna. You know, it's the same shit. So then it's like, fuck yeah.
That's white privilege at its best.
Yeah, but the pharmacies all over like Thailand and those countries, me and what you just go in and say, I want this. Like, do you have a prescription? You go, no. Like, all right, well, here it is anyway.
What are you asking for?
Sometimes it's Xanax. Sometimes it's like Vicodin. Sometimes it's just like she snorted Ritalin, which I've never done before. But it was like, fuck it, full moon party, let's go. Let's do everything.
And you took the SATs.
Yeah, exactly. People ask me what did it do. I'm like, maybe I was better able to concentrate. My teacher said I didn't act up as much.
What are some of the moments where you felt like you were in the most danger traveling the world?
Okay, so I don't know if you get this or not, but like when I land in a place that's not a white country, that's a foreign country, foreign looking people, I have a level of xenophobia, which just makes me think they're all out to get me, and so it takes a day or two to like break that down in my mind.
Do you think that's like in your Jewish DNA that you're like protecting yourself?
I think it's
like
American.
That? Really? Because I don't. I mean, I haven't. Maybe I'm too naive. I mean, I do think I'm kind of Winnie the Pooh when I travel around.
What do you mean?
Not aware of certain dangers. Like, why the fuck would I ride a motorcycle 45 miles north of Hanoi? I remember when I almost drowned in Thailand while scuba diving. When I went back to Orlando and I saw my family, my sister said, you know, Tom, if someone would have contacted me and said that your brother drowned while scuba diving in Thailand, I would have said, no, you have the wrong Tom Rhodes, because my brother's not that stupid to do something like that.
But that's not, yeah, I guess.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like a lot of people wouldn't put themselves in harm's
But they
way.
think that's a danger, but that's not a dangerous place to do scuba diving. That's where a lot of people.
Well, I mean, it turned out it was shitty equipment, and the instructor was out to get me.
Oh yeah, good point. He's trying to drown here for love. Sorry.
It's a great story, but looking back on it, I think, oh my god, why did I?
But there's like danger.
The instructor fucking is being aggressive towards me. I should have quit after the first day.
But then, like, if you were a foreigner visiting America, you could have that veil over your experiences here and view all these experiences here as super dangerous. Like, don't people get mugged in New York? Like, oh yeah, I looked at the stats later.
Because we have safety regulations. Like, you couldn't go scuba diving with shabby equipment.
Right.
Like, have you ever gone down that Great Slide at the Great Wall
of China? Oh, and they have the sign like, this is not regulated. It could go off.
There's no safety railings.
Yeah. There's no one to sue.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just fucked.
Yeah.
But you're like, yeah, I'll do it anyway.
I've been the
because other people do it.
The wall is impressive. The Great Slide is even better.
I think you told me about the slide.
I might have.
Did you tell me about to wait?
Because there's 3 sections where you can go to the Great Wall of China as a tourist, and only the one has that slide. So if I told you about it, I always tell everybody, make sure you go to the section with the slide.
I did make sure to go to that one.
Because the slide is why I've gone back 3 times.
I pass that on to everybody. And Des Bishop, he's the one who hooked me up at the gig in Beijing.
Yeah.
And you should have him on your podcast, actually.
When I did a gig with him at the Bookworm in Beijing, and he was on my podcast.
Yeah. So
the second time I went to the wall was with him, and then I filmed going down the slide, and on the video on YouTube it's called The Magnificent Slide at the Great Wall, I think. Yeah. And then when I get to the bottom, Des Bishop is at the bottom, and he goes, I can't believe you fucking came all the way China just to ride this slide, which is really
it's
true.
Such a non-Chinese thing, but it's in China. You know, it's like those full moon parties in Thailand. It's got nothing to do with Thailand. They're just where they meet. And you gave me the advice of like, talk to the guy who's running the slide for a while because you want to let the people clear out ahead of you.
Yeah.
the more time, and he will talk to you when he finds out you're from a foreign land.
Yeah.
He's like, so what are you doing here? It's amazing too the perspective people have. They're like, the first time I went to Thailand, they were like, where are you from? I was like, America. They're like, and then I imagine they've been going Obama or whatever it was at the time. He's going Schwarzenegger, who's not even American, but like that's their version of America, you know? Yeah, but these dangerous things. So it's for perspective. When I got back and I was talking to Rogan about East Timor, and he was like, is it dangerous? And I was like, yeah, well, last year there were actually 563, I'm guessing, something like that. I forget the number now. 563 murders in that country. Not
That's
deaths,
a lot
murders.
yeah. I don't think the population is very big.
Yeah, and so he was like, that's crazy. How could you go there? And then I go, oh, no, I'm sorry. I got that wrong. That was Chicago I'm thinking of. And he goes, oh. But I'm like, but your scaredness of East Timor should now be transferred to Chicago. But it's not, because you don't view it as an outsider place.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's like you get to Thailand or you get to those places and you're like, oh, is everyone out to get me? My first stop the last time was Myanmar. And then it slowly realized that no, it's country to country, it's city to city, and no one's out to get you. They might be out to like get your business. That's about it.
What other obscure places did you love like that?
Myanmar, especially the Shan state where you're like,
yeah, I know. I was offered that gig there. Did you do the gig?
In where?
Myanmar.
No, never performed there.
And I was Googling Myanmar, like there's a big like meth problem.
In the north, the Golden Triangle.
Drugs, and then like the lots of the government crackdown.
That's just Shan State. You're good at
it. Seemed like everything I googled, I was like, I'll pass on that.
Yeah, if you're an ethnic minority in the north, for sure, get out of there. But they actually won't let tourists sleep in that area because they don't want you finding out. We had to get special dispensation.
They don't want you finding
from
out
a local minister. To sleep for one night only in a hotel. They're like, you're not allowed to be here, man. You got to go back to where you're from, where you came from. Like, it was a 6-hour bus ride, and it's almost like nightfall.
Where am I going to go?
Yeah, and they're like, can we sleep in a monastery? They just started laughing. Like, you can't stay here. You're not allowed to be here. You're white. You're not allowed to be here. And we eventually had to like fake cry and like get them to like let us stay. Yeah. But it's cool that I'm remembering this now. We went and looked at, there was an army base, and there was some statues outside. We were there taking pictures, and the people were just walking up behind, like, what are you doing here? We're like, we're just seeing. Like, where's your passport? Like, it's back in our hotel rooms. Like, let's go get it right now then. And we're like, okay. It was like, oh shit. But those places are fun. Bangkok is also fun, when it's all set up for tourism.
I love Bangkok. The first time I went there, I hated it. I thought it was
so dirty.
I thought it was filthy and disgusting, and then I went back a few times, and then local people who lived there showed me great things, and now I love it. Like
maybe I gotta go back.
Staying in Chinatown, there's a mansion called a hotel there called Shanghai Mansion.
Yeah.
And it's like Shanghai in the 1930s.
Wow.
And that Chinatown has been there forever, and it's a Chinese woman, and she's a huge comedy fan. So she always she's giving me a discount whenever I stay there. And she grew up in Chinatown in Bangkok. She's a Chinese family. She opens this place, and Chinatown is one of the few places in Bangkok where they still have street food. They've cracked down on it in most of the city.
Why? For health?
Taxes, I was told. Because the government can't tax it.
Yeah.
And then it's a short walk over to the river in the daytime, and you can take the water taxis up to the temples.
Damn.
And then there's the Temple of the Reclining Buddha.
I remember that one.
Which in the back is on the grounds within the walls of the temple is a massage school where they teach the ancient Thai massage.
Wow.
And it's a big room. You're in a room with like 50 or 60 other people, but it's like $5 for an hour for the head to toe Thai massage.
That is the crazy thing.
So to
Thailand.
take the water taxi up there, go into the temple, get massaged, and then it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, Jeff Keith was telling me about going to Thailand, and he married a Filipino woman, but like, he was in Thailand, and he was like got one of those $5 massages on the beach. Something like they're on the beach where like you're getting this massage, and you look up and it's just the ocean, and you're like, this is the best.
Yeah, I've had that in Koh Phi Phi and in Phuket. And
he said the next day he went back and the lady's like, another massage? He goes, no, I just got one. And then it hit him, it's like, But why not? It's $5.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to lie down. I may as well lie down and get a massage. You've got one every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, those places are great. Yeah, but some of those places, I like going to like places like Thailand, getting my feet set in a setup for tourism, but still foreign place, and then going like deeper. Then going to like rural Georgia or some shit like that, which I've never been, but that seems cool too, you know? Or Sumatra or some shit like.
You mean Georgia in the United States?
No, yeah, I mean Georgia, Russia.
I've been to Tbilisi.
Really?
Yeah. Interesting story. There's a guy that a wonderful older Irish man. And when I had my sitcom, I was headlining at Caroline's in New York here. And after the show, this little cute Irish guy comes busting in he just walked right into the dressing room. Oh, Tom, such a great guy, and what a funny show, and just wanted to come back, and blah, blah, blah.
Georgia?
No, here in New York City at Caroline's.
Okay, sorry, yeah.
So I just thought this guy was really cute and funny, and I couldn't believe the audacity for him to walk in the dressing room. And I said, what are you doing tonight? Oh, nothing, I'm here in business by myself, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, I'm going to a party. You want to go with me? So my sitcom was on NBC. I had been invited to the SNL after party.
Oh, nice.
And NBC had sent a limousine for me. So I took this guy. I know I'm going to blow this guy's mind. I took him to the SNL party, had my own table, free booze, and like everybody was there. Like Sting and everybody. It was just like such a star-studded evening. And I got, we had a great time, me and this guy getting hammered. And then I had the limousine drive us all around Manhattan, and we were hanging out of the moonroof like teenagers.
Oh, cool.
So then the first time I went to Dublin, where he lives and where he's from, he pulled out all the stops and showed me everything great about, Dublin. And I've been great friends with this guy through the years. He's seen me in like 5 different countries, and every time I go to Ireland, I see this guy. So he used to work, he's retired now, but he used to work for the Irish Electric Company. He was an executive.
Yeah.
And the Irish Electric Company would put in energy systems in developing countries around the world. So when I was living in Amsterdam, and I had the late night talk show, he was living in Tbilisi, Georgia. And he flew me over there and paid me to do a private gig for his employees and the expats living in... So I spent like 5 days there.
What was the food like? Was it cold?
There's lots of Jewish people there.
No way.
And poor Jewish people. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Like,
Russian Jews are not.
I couldn't believe it. Like, why are you people staying here? There's other places, and it was a dangerous place then. He had a driver, and he had been carjacked, and the driver wouldn't give up the keys. So the criminals broke his hands with a gun handle, and I remember he took us to. So he had a substitute driver when I was visiting. He told me that story. So he took us to this. His daughter was also visiting. We went to some store downtown Tbilisi, and then they opened the floorboard, and we went down into the basement, and it was a private shooting range, and we got to shoot Uzis. Yeah, and we did lots of cool shit. But his daughter and I had gone to there's like one thing to see. There's like a chapel on top, a church on top of a hill, and we were up there, and some Armenian refugee pulled a knife on us and tried to rob us. And it's funny. I always think if you ever like get robbed, I always think just give them the money. Yeah. I've always thought that my whole life. This guy pulls the knife on us. And I don't know where the fuck it came from. I just looked him in the eye and went, no! And I grabbed Michelle and just...
Threw at him?
Just started running, and we got away from this dude.
Wow.
But...
what? Are you crazy?
Yeah, that was before the Rose Revolution, which was their big revolution.
George, is that when they got rid of USSR?
No, they did that before.
Oh.
So I don't know what it's like now, but it was, and Stalin was from Georgia.
Oh, my
So you
friend
see
just
Stalin everything. Stalin cigarettes, Stalin vodka, Stalin
really?
soap. Yeah.
They love him.
I used to have of course, he did great for Georgia.
Right.
He was a brutal dictator, but people in Georgia loved him.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
You're like, nah, he was cool here.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, when you have the friend everybody hates, like, he's always been nice to me.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying.
I've got loads of
that ain't my issue. Yeah, exactly. How do you defend that guy? He's like, he's never done the things he's done to you. He has not done to me, so I don't care as much.
Have you traveled around Eastern Europe? Because Eastern Europe is somewhere. That's the only place.
That's where I want to go. My dad's from Romania, and I kind of want to go back.
Oh no shit! I didn't know.
We were gonna get him a trip back for his 80th birthday to Romania. That was our plan, with the kids. You know, not the grandkids, just the kids, and go to where he was from. You know, Yash, and he was like, I don't want to go. Like, really? You haven't been there since you were like a child? And he goes, I talked to some historian. He goes, there's been 2 wars since I've been there. I won't recognize anything. And it's just like, what's in Romania? So we ended up going to Costa Rica because he likes nature, and it was fucking great. But I started thinking about it more and more. And I was like, what do you mean what's in Romania? The fucking Romanian beer? There's fucking Budapest? There's fun. There's
Budapest
museums.
In Hungary. It's Bucharest.
Bucharest, yeah. Thank you. But it's like, there's shit there. And then he's like, why don't you go? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to see where I would have been if the fucking Nazis hadn't come. You know, the beer I would have drank if the Nazis weren't there. Like, I want to see what my life would have been.
But it's a funny thing about, a lot of people I've talked to about children of immigrants. Like, my mother's from Argentina. Yeah. And I took her back there. She hadn't been in 40 years.
Wow.
And then, and she didn't want to go. And I was like, oh, you got to go, Mom. And I want to do this together. And then afterwards, she said, you know, I don't ever want to go back there. It took a lot for our family to get out of there, and I don't have any interest to go back. Wow. And so and that was a different kaleidoscope of way to look at it. Like, I never thought of it. Yeah,
because
like
you never were
we
there.
Think, so as the children of immigrants, oh man, this is our heritage and our roots. And then the parents who actually left there are like, you know, fuck that place.
I mean, if you put it into like, translate it to here and now, like, if you're like, I hated New York and you left because of the grime, and then your kid's like, let's go back to New York. It's like, no, I fucking left there. And it's like, but you're from there. I'm like, yeah, and it sucks. No, I don't want to go. Like, I could see that. But yeah, you're right. When you're not from there, you're like, seems cool.
I'd like to check out Romania.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. There's a little gig there. It's like it's a bar gig that
I would do
pays
that
no
once.
money.
Yeah. Just to do it. So when I was in Yangon, when I landed, and I was like, I'm done. I'm out of the world for a while. I went to a bar 50, I think, something like that Childress told me about, who runs that gig in Yangon, Rangoon. And I just saw Open Mic Tuesday, and I was like, I'm not going to be here Tuesday. I don't want to see this right now. But normally, it would be like, hell yeah. To randomly go up in a bar in Romania, seems cool.
Well, I think you'd be headlining. It wouldn't be the, excuse me, little sneeze action. What are some of the other dream destinations that you'd like to do?
Mongolia's on the list now, man.
Okay, good. I'll set you up with that.
Yeah.
UB Comedy Club would love to have you.
Yeah. I want to go to Patagonia in Argentina.
I've been there.
In Peru.
Incredible.
I've really never been to
Peru is my favorite trip I ever took in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to South America. Another dream trip, I have been to Ho Chi Minh and a city further south than that.
Have you been to Hanoi?
No.
Hanoi's my favorite.
Yeah, I heard that's way more worldly. That's the Bergen of the Norway, of the Oslo of.
Well, it's like it's the French influence is so charming. The tree-lined boulevards, and then there's lakes. But where the gig is in Hanoi, it's on a rooftop bar, and you're actually looking out onto the lake where John McCain landed when he was shot down. And now there's swan paddle boats and young lovers.
So cool.
Smooching.
What I want to do is start in Ho Chi Minh and get a motorcycle and take about a month and a half and just slowly drive up to maybe Sapong or maybe like who knows where, but through Ho Chi Minh, through Hanoi, and like just really see. And I've met people who did that, and they kept going through to Laos, and like that kind of shit seems really cool.
Well, be careful because the Vietnamese people don't recognize stop signs and red lights.
Oh
and
yeah,
things like that.
Yeah. Also, I got to learn some motorcycle maintenance because they have those. I've broken down in other places, and you just like ask for help, and people do help you for whatever money. But like, I don't know how to do anything. I had a guy in Dili. I shredded my fucking motorcycle tire, and I was like, I waited there for a while for a car to pass by, and I was kind of on a side road in a mountain, and I was like, fuck. I'm like, I gotta get to walking. I think it's like 2 hours into town. I gotta go. And I walked about 15 minutes. It was a construction crew working, and I passed by. I don't know if I asked the guy if anyone was going into town, could hitchhike or whatever, but he was Filipino. Dad was a GI who fucked his mom and left. And so this guy knew a little English. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I told him, and he was like, "I'll help you." It's a real Christian country. And he goes, "I'll help you."
Philippines, yeah.
No. He's Timor-Leste.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he was like, a lot of these Christians are fake Christians. But he goes, "I'm a real Christian. Let me help you." And he went and looked. And he
I
goes,
know
"Oh,
a few
yeah,
of those.
you're not going to get this down anywhere." He goes, "Tell you what, we're almost done. I'll get this truck. We can all pick it up, put it in the truck. We'll drive the motorcycle and you into town." And so we did. And then they fucking fixed the tire. I was like, "This is so nice of you."
He was a real Christian.
Real Christian, yeah.
There's a traveler who's in trouble.
Yeah.
I'll help the guy.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And from there, when I see like people outside the cellar going like, "Do you know which way the Fat Black Pussycat is?" or some bar, and you want to be like, "Just look on your stupid phone." Sorry. And then like it hits me like, "Oh, you don't get minutes." So I'm like, "I can help you." Well,
Yeah.
like I asked my friend like, "Let me see." I'm like, "Okay, you got to walk this way and that way." Just a little thing because you're so lost when you're in another country.
Yeah. What are some of the greatest?
So yeah, I want to go to Argentina and Peru,
Oh.
South America for sure.
Dude, we should do. I'd love to go back.
Mongolia.
I'd love to go back to Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've become friends with Rafina Bastos. I don't know if you know this Brazilian comedian. Really good guy. Interesting dude. He's Jewish. He's from Brazil, but he's like 7'4", 7.
Really?
He's like he's so tall.
As a Jew?
Yeah, and he came to America and had a basketball scholarship in like Western Nebraska. He's become one of my best friends in Los Angeles, and he moved into my building, and he's got a club in Sao Paulo, and I want to go to Brazil with this.
Yeah, I want to
guy.
explore Brazil though too. I've only been to Rio for a couple days.
Argentina's amazing. Patagonia is really,
Patagonia is
really, really. It looks like Northern California had it never been developed.
Wow.
It's really beautiful.
Where do you want to go that you've never been? That you've never been?
I've never been to India.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is shocking.
Yeah. Have you?
No. But like, it's always like, it's not one of those like, I must go, but it's like, I will. I'm sure at some point I will, you know?
I don't think I don't know if I'm ready for the abject poverty that you'll, hear about and see.
Yeah.
I've never been to Moscow.
I'd like to go there, but I'm not that interested in it.
Yeah. I went to St. Petersburg, and I loved it. Just to go to the Hermitage is worth it. They've got the most Rembrandts in one
really?
place. And, yeah, that's pretty cool. Where? Yeah, in Brazil. And
Eastern Europe, I'd like to go. Czech Republic and Romania and Hungary and Slovakia, I guess. Now
I guess there's not too many places left that
you haven't been.
Yeah. So
yeah,
what?
Greenland would be cool. And I definitely want to go to New Zealand. That's on that list. And then like
New Zealand is
haven't gotten a
incredible.
chance. New Zealand and Japan, and maybe I'll make one trip out of it.
You should do the New Zealand Comedy Festival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's before Melbourne, right? Not
Yeah.
After. Yeah. So that's when it should go. Because I was thinking of going after last year, but then I was like, it's gonna get cold, and what I really want to do is hike out there.
Yeah.
And then I fucked up. I need to
funny.
go in like February.
Like I felt terrible about that shooting at the mosques in Christchurch because I was there in 2013, and I think it was the year before that Christchurch had been devastated by an earthquake. So most of the downtown had been completely destroyed. Even like their oldest churches were rubble.
Wow.
And so the city it's a small, medium-sized city, and they were recovering, and they were like the greatest audiences in New Zealand.
Oh.
And
that's cool.
it's such a small, nice place to think of something so horrific, and the guy filming it.
He filmed it?
You didn't know that? He
I
had
set
a
that one out.
GoPro camera on his helmet.
Like a skier?
And he went Facebook Live.
Oh, yeah, that's why they were getting on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, really disgusting. Wow. So what epiphanies or your greatest revelations have you had traveling the world.
Well, okay, so there comes a period of, and this happens for beach weekends or whatever, where like for a couple days you're just escaping where you're from, maybe 3 or 4 days. My friend Rolf Potts, who you should have on at some point, he's a travel writer, wrote this book called Vagabonding, which is like really good about like cheap dirt bagging on the road, you know? And he said the first stop you should go when you're long-term travel is just a beach. Reset your clock. He goes, find a beach. To me, that's weird. I want to find a big city, so it's like similar to America, and then from there, like learn like some language, some food, words, and then go. But when you do go to the beach here, you get like 2 or 3 days of like, okay, I'm escaping, and then after the third or fourth or fifth day, you start getting like accepting in your brain that there is nothing to do. Just reading is your goal. Doing nothing, taking a walk when you feel like a walk, or a dip when it's hot, that is your goal. You know, smoking a cigar, cigarette. There's no, I have to be anywhere. And so then you've now accepted this like lack of direction, and then you start to really embrace it. And then after like a week or two, then you really get into it, and you're not even thinking where you're from, just like where am I going? So the epiphanies I've had once I've gotten to that point are like I can accomplish things. Like I bought some flip-flops. I had these flip-flops that I took from America, and eventually they started smelling so bad. So in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, I was like, I gotta get some more. And they just don't have people my size there. They just don't have 6-footers in Cambodia. So I'm a size 11, which is like a 45 or 46, 11 and a half here. You can't get them. They would be like 44s, and they would like, it'll stretch. I'm like, the base won't stretch. Maybe the thing over the top will stretch, but the base is the base. And so it's like, to find actual shoes that fit me was a real ordeal. And I found some, what I proved to be later, knockoff, like Hurley or some like brand flip-flops, and I got them. And then in Indonesia, they started breaking. They started like coming undone. Like the base started, and I was like, I should just chuck these. They were, $20, and I'll get some new ones. And then it hit me like, no, you're not going to find new ones. You're just not going to. It's going to take you another week or two to find new ones. So then it's like, oh, I got to fix this. So now I'm on a hunt in fucking, on Rinca Island or something like that for super glue. And you can just learn how you can just do stuff. You don't need anything. You can do stuff. Also, the stuff on my back was all the clothes I had in the world. I mean, you've had this too now, where it's like 5, 6 T-shirts, whatever it is. You wash stuff in a sink, and you just don't need the glorifying, like, you don't need a nice hotel. You just don't need it. And then I got back to America, where I had 20 times the clothes that I had on my back for 4 months. And I'm like, I didn't miss any of these. It's nice to have them again. Oh yeah, this T-shirt. But like, you don't need them. So then it hit me like, at any time I want to, I can just pull up chocks and exit the world. And just fucking get out there. I already
unass the place.
On what?
As my dad used to say.
Unass the place?
Let's unass this place. Like leave.
Yeah. Just take off and you're fine. You can just do it. You can find a place for $8 a night.
I've done minimal travel like that. I always I like to have a certain level of of niceness. Yeah. And then I've never done like the traveling with just like 2 T-shirts and whatever, because like on a lot of the beach or exploration breaks I've taken were always like between gigs.
Right.
Like when I went to Cambodia, it was between playing Kuala Lumpur and Singapore.
Okay. Oh, okay. So just stop by.
So I had 5 days off and went to the temples of Angkor.
But it's so fucking great.
Yeah.
To see those things.
I've never been to Phnom Penh, but the temples of Angkor, especially top, the one with my name in it. It's
Rhodes?
Tom.
Tom From. Well, Tom is the temple, so Tom From, Tom. They're
all
Toms.
It's like Tom. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one that children's told
Pra
about.
Tom? No, is that the one?
There are a lot of tomes.
But it's got the faces and the
yeah. It's so gorgeous with the trees coming out of the fucking stone.
Yeah,
it's so cool. Yeah, Angkor Wat is the most famous one, but it's not the best one.
That's not the nice one.
Yeah, and that's all the Chinese tourists are. So if you're gonna do that one, the pro tip that I got is get there first thing. Once the Chinese tourists show up, you just gotta leave.
Well, I have a tip for people for. I think Top Prom is the one that has the tree growing on the roof. So
Tom From, yeah.
So I had a guy, tuk-tuk driver, who actually met me at the airport. And for $20 a day, and when I would wake up at the hotel, he would be waiting in front.
I know. You're like, no, you don't have to
And
wait
he-
for me. I'm gonna be here for 4 hours. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is better than
Yeah.
your return trip is worth it.
I
I'll wait
told him,
4
I
hours.
go, dude, don't, and I was still drinking at the time. I go, don't show up until noon. He would be there at like 9 in the
He's
morning.
like, you
sitting
ain't
there
going
waiting
up
for
and
me.
getting somebody else. I'm
Yeah,
the guy.
exactly.
It's crazy. They're your slaves for $20.
So so we went to the top prom, and there was tons of tourists there. Couldn't take a nice picture of it, and then the guidebook had said there was the one temple you want to go to for sunset, and be on top. So we went. I was every day just exploring temples.
Yeah.
So I learned this after a couple of days. We went to the temple for the sunset, and there was thousands of people and hundreds of tuk-tuks, and it was like so many tourists. I turned to my guy and I said, take me directly to Top Prom. And so we went back to Top Prom, like before sunset, and there was no one there
Because
at all.
that's not the quote unquote sunset place.
Because everyone says to go to this other place
Yeah.
at sunset. So that's what you want to do.
Yeah, so I just got back from Zion, and it was like Michelle Wolf told us this. It was like, you got to beat the tourists at like Watchmen or certain hikes. You just got to beat them. And then we did some of those hikes, but then we did other ones where it's like, these aren't as grand, but no one's here. So like, what's the trade-off? You got to have in your head, what's the trade-off? You know? So like, you got to see the pyramids when you're in Egypt. I have a saying like, don't be an asshole. Where it's like, you can do other things, but like, there's some shit don't go to Beijing and not go to the Great Wall of China. Don't go. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can be like, too many tourists for certain things, but not others. But yeah, just like do a little bit of it and then find your own. There are these temples in Mexico. I forget what they're called.
Chichen Itza?
Yeah, and my friends that I met told me on a ferry in Indonesia, was like, there's these other temples that are almost identical, 40 or 50 miles away, that just don't have the name. And so no one's there.
Koba.
Yeah, maybe.
So I went there in January.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then just no one's there because it's not the name.
Because you can't climb up to the top of the main pyramid in Chichen Itza anymore. I went there twice. The first time I went, like 20 years ago, you could climb to the top.
And then they outlawed it.
And there's a great picture of Jim Morrison when he's fat and with his beard, and he's walking up those steps of the main temple of Chichen Itza. In Koba, they've got the temples, and you can climb all over them.
Yeah, so it's like, well, go to Koba, but then you don't have the cachet of say, I went to Chichen Itza, where everybody knows.
Yeah.
But the experience is exactly the same. Now, if there's just the one thing there, then go. But yeah, learn how to go to non-tourist spots. They're more fun because the tourists make it weird.
Was there any place that you wanted to see your whole life that you went to and you were disappointed? Well, that's no big deal.
That's a good question.
Because I know, like,
Grand Canyon was not that. I was like, whoa.
the Grand Canyon is impressive.
Yeah.
But I know when I went to the White House, when I went to Mount Rushmore, and when I went to see a Tonight Show taping with Jay Leno years ago, I had the same feeling.
I like
This is it? It's
Yeah.
tiny.
Oh yeah, those late night tapings. You think there's hundreds of
Tiny.
people there, and there's 40.
Yeah.
They just show it really well. It's like those old pictures of or the films when they show Rodeo Drive.
Yeah.
And you live in LA, you've been to Rodeo Drive.
Yeah.
They're showing it's like this montages of all the stores. They showed all the stores. You assume it's like 20 times bigger than what they've shown for 20 seconds. Like, no, they've showed the whole thing. Yeah, where have I been that's like disappointing? Where I'm like, meh. Definitely not Giza. That was great.
Giza
Yeah.
in
Egypt. Yeah. I just got back from there. in
That's the one
December.
with the heads on it, right?
The Sphinx.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got a good tip there from, I don't know, I think the internet is like, get up early, get first thing before all the tourists come. But I don't think there's anything that I can think of now. But maybe it's just because I blocked it out of my memory of like, meh. I know there's some stuff that's like way better than I thought it would be. Bagan in Myanmar was like, Turner Sparks?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so he was like, it's the one place that the pictures do it justice. When I hear about the Northern Lights, people are like, that's just the exposure setting on their camera. It's not quite as beautiful as that.
Wow.
But Bagan was like, he's like, it's exactly what it looks like, and it is like overwhelming. I was super impressed with the Angkors, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. So I was there for 3 full days. I arrived like around dinner time, and then went to my hotel, and then I had 3 full days to explore the temples of Angkor, which I had always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I had like overly studied the guidebooks, reading about it and the temples I wanted to see, and then Bantia Sri is the furthest away temple, which was very worth going to see. And then the last day, I kept free just to go back to the ones that I liked the most.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was really cool. So 2 days
you
I was
really
like,
do that.
I'm going to do this, and then also the tuk-tuk driver took me to a private Cambodian wedding in a little village beside the temples.
Really?
And these I filmed it. I used to be obsessed with filming everything. So there's a video on YouTube of me exploring Cambodia and at this wedding party, and I was still drinking at the time. And these people keep cheersing, and it was almost annoying. They were doing it so much. These guys, every 2 seconds, joy moi, joy moi. That's the cheers.
Yeah, and everyone drinks.
And everyone drinks, and it was this wedding where these people didn't have money, but they had like, it was so much food and so much beer. These people, they had provided
beer with a big ice cube in the middle.
Yeah, they provided for the whole warm beer with an ice cube in it.
Yeah,
they had provided for the whole village, and it was so much fun. And joy moi means cheer up.
Oh, really?
Which,
cheer
considering their history with genocide and slaughter, I think that's really interesting that's their cheers.
Yeah, they have in
joy moi
in Vietnam and Cambodia a little too. I saw the same style of eating that I loved, which is like 3-hour meals, small pieces. Like you order a dish, they have these little like buckets with like coals in the bottom and just a netting on top, a metal netting that you put like 6 pieces of chicken. You just cook that and you give it to each other. You never serve yourself. You serve others, but you're always a king because you get served. So if I want more beer, I'm giving you more beer. I'm like, you're out of beer here. I take my beer and I pour it into yours, but I don't touch my own glass. Like you pour for me or someone else pours for me. Mm. And so with the 6 pieces of chicken or frog or beef or whatever, it's just a little bit. And you go from starving to a little less starving to not hungry to a little full to very full. And it's just a long, long, long meal. Everyone's talking and drinking. And it's just like really about the experience of like being there with each other. And I love that.
I love it. Like Korean barbecue is great.
Yeah.
Indonesian rice table. I like the food. I like less, than the Korean barbecue.
Yeah.
I love those little side dishes and how those things last forever.
Yeah.
My tuk-tuk driver in Cambodia, and it's on the video. It turns out that after this wedding party, the temples are all blocked off at night. So he was a former police officer, and it turns out he makes more money as a tuk-tuk driver. So he pulled up to the cops and the guards at the barriers at the temples, and he's talking to them, and he's driving me back to the hotel. They lifted the barrier and let us drive through the temples where it was closed to anyone, the public.
Bribes go a long way in that part of town.
And it was like a full moon or very full moon, and driving through the temples of Angkor with seeing the temples all silhouetted in the moonlight was one of the greatest thrills of my lifetime.
Damn.
Drunk on the back of this guy's little moped.
Sometimes in those places, sunsets and just the moons just make it like, this is amazing, just an epic time. Oh, to answer your question about danger, I was in East Timor driving. I decided I was going to drive to this big, tall building. I gotta go soon. Not building, mountain, their biggest mountain. And Haptublico. And that's the city outside of it. And I was driving and I saw these, I turned off the main road to go to this mountain town. And there were these like roughnecks. This one guy in a jumpsuit with like tattoos on his neck. I could like see the tops of them. And I was like, is this the way to Haptublico? And they're like, yeah, but they were looking at me. And the advice I got from my half-brother was like, there's bandits there. There's roving bandits. Like, you stay in Dili and don't go further east than that. And I went all the way east.
Why listen to your brother?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems sort of safe. And I see these 2 roughnecks, and I'm in the middle of nowhere, and they let me get ahead, and they're kind of smiling, and I can't tell if it's because I'm an American, which they don't get there. or just what, and sort of going ahead, and they keep like passing me and kind of looking at me and passing me, and then they're like pulled off like in like the drizzle or rain. They'd be under a tree smoking and like looking as I go. I'm like, I'm getting deeper and deeper away from anything, and like just fuck. And then they eventually caught up to me in this like giant mud thing that we had to go through, and we kind of helped each other go through this mud. We had to like push each other through, and then it was just sort of like friendly. And the guy unzipped his one piece, his hoodie thing, and it was all Jesus tattoos. And they invited me. They were going camping, and they invited me with their family, this greater family, to go camping on this mountain with them. You thought he was
going to slice you up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they just took me in with their family reunion up to this mountain to watch a sunrise, where you could see fucking Australia from this mountain. You just see the sun come up and the clouds just part, and it was just like, yeah, the danger's almost never as bad as you think it is. There was a beautiful
it's
moment.
Good to be cautious.
Yeah, but there's this beautiful moment with Christians, and I'm in any other world or life, I'm like, no thanks. That's
like Ashna
danger.
would always remind me when I would be traveling. She goes, "Don't forget, you look like a rich white guy," and like that never crossed my mind.
True.
But she's like, people, you don't realize
how
people look at you when you're traveling in these different countries.
But read some advisories. There are some countries where like they're looking to rob you, and there's other countries where they're just not. It's just not. I mean, like when I moved here, I asked Neil Brennan. I was like, I got a place, and then I went home. It was going to be available the month after, and then I was like, fuck, I forgot if they have bars in the windows. I know it's a first floor, and I was like, Neil, how much should? Because he used to live here. I was like, how much should bars cost? He goes, dude, you don't need those anymore. And he goes, look at the crime stats. The New York of the movies is no longer the New York of today.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, oh, so you just look at the stats. There's some place, Bolivia, be careful. They're looking to kidnap you.
Yeah.
You know, don't go to Rwanda and think you're going to be fine. But actually, I have no idea if Rwanda's okay or not. But other places, in Myanmar, they're just looking to help you. They're super Buddhist. They're just looking to help you.
Unless you're
an ethnic minority. But like we had a time where we landed in this trip where we ended up in the Shan State. But this guy was like, where are you going? I was like, we're good. And he's like, no, I can help you. There's a hotel over there. I can take one of you on my back of my moped. And I was like, dude, what do you want? He goes, all right, you got me. I was trying to work on my English, and it was like,
oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
When I first went to Beijing was a few years before the Beijing Olympics, and like people would come up to you on the street, hello, how are you today? It's a very lovely day today. Like they were working on their English.
Yeah, but in Rio, they're trying to pickpocket you.
Yeah.
Like, you look at the montage of the Rio Olympics, like, white people getting pickpocketed. It's great. It's
Have
hilarious.
you been to Rio?
Once, for a few days. And they're like, do not go to whatever the ghettos are, like on the mountain.
What are they called? Favelas.
Favelas, yeah.
I know you got to go soon, but one of the most remarkable things that has ever happened to me while traveling, I took for my mother's 80th birthday, her gift was she wanted to go to Jerusalem. Huge, believer, Christian, and I take my mom to Jerusalem, and on the, I did this tour, and then on the very last day that we're in Jerusalem, we go to the most sacred place in Christianity, where Jesus was crucified. They built a church around it, called the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
It's also the Jews' biggest win.
And I run into my very good friend Ari Shaffir.
It was the craziest run-in I've ever seen.
I can't believe that.
If I ran into you in Kansas, it'd be crazy.
Yeah. But in Jerusalem,
and at that place,
at the most sacred place, not like in an alley or at a shawarma shop, at the most sacred place in Christianity,
and just like not a clue that, like if I ran into you here in New York, it'd be kind of weird. But I'm like, oh yeah, you did tell me you're coming to New York.
Yeah,
just turn a corner in a place that I normally would never go to. My brother's like, let's see this Christian quarter. We never did that when we were in Israel, and then just it was like you couldn't comprehend it at first. I was like, that guy looks like Tom. That is Tom. Is that Tom? Why is Tom here?
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, me neither. And then we just hugged each other.
And your brother's awesome, and and we hung out, and you met my mom, and we talked for a little while. There was a funny thing and that was really like, I mean, that was one of the highlights of our trip to Israel was running into you and your brother.
Oh, for sure. That day was crazy. Let me tell this person. I'll call him back in a minute.
Okay.
Hello? Yeah, can you call me back in like 3 minutes? I'm finishing up something. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
So there was a funny thing an interesting thing that had happened right before we saw you. that I don't think I told you about. So you've heard of the Jerusalem syndrome.
Yeah.
People go to Jerusalem, and it's very common where they'll be overwhelmed with the
Holy Spirit.
like some people think, a lot of people think they're Jesus. Some people think they're the Virgin Mary. Some people think they're John the Baptist.
Jeez.
And it happens. And there's a medical center that treats these people. So I had read about this.
Oh, wow.
And Mark Maron did a one-man show
yeah.
years ago called the Jerusalem Syndrome. But I remember reading about this years ago. The story that I had read, the doctor that treated him said that one day they had two Jesuses. And he said he put him in and now that I've been to Israel and I know, I've met a few Israelis, I can see it's kind of an Israeli sense of humor. He puts the two Jesuses in a room and he says, listen, I'm going to leave you both in here for an hour. And when I come back, I want you to tell me who the real Messiah is. Hilarious. So we were there for a week.
You guys figure it out.
It's hilarious. So we were in Jerusalem for a week, and then the tour started, and we stayed in Tel Aviv. Then we went back to Jerusalem. So when we went first, we saw this guy in a robe, pudgy American guy with a beard and long hair. He looked like Jesus, and I thought, oh, that guy obviously. And I told my mom. She had never heard of the Jerusalem syndrome. I said, look, that guy,
how's it?
Fake Jesus. Must think he must have been overwhelmed and never went back to America. And he had a robe and shit. And we saw the guy a couple times, and I actually took a few photos of him. And on the last day, it was right before we saw you, we see the guy in the church, because he only hangs around in that church. And there was all these American church groups and, following the tour guide with the flag. And it was an American church group. I wanted to get closer to take a picture of this guy again, because I had already taken a few. And as I get closer, this American church group is standing there, and the woman with the flag is mocking the guy. She goes, "So do you also do miracles?" Like very condescending to the guy. And this guy who I had seen several times and thought was crazy, he lifts his head up and he points to where Jesus was crucified, and he says, "Only Jesus can do miracles." And then there was a big pause, and he said, "The true miracle is when a bad person becomes a good person." So here's the guy I thought was the most crazy batshit fucking weirdo in Jerusalem, and it turns out that he was probably one of the sanest people.
Just devout and liked Christianity.
Yeah, and then I said, "Hey, brother," I go, "Hey, this is my mother," and I said, "Where are you from?" And he said he's from Detroit, and we talked to him for a minute, and was a really nice guy. And then 10, 15 minutes later, we ran into you.
Fuck, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I gave Steve Simone that cross.
Yeah, I talked to him.
Yeah, and I mean, it couldn't have been a better present. It was the best idea. You're right.
Yeah, and I told you to put it.
Do the power up.
Put it on the slab.
Yeah. And then I told him, and he was like, "Yeah, it was the perfect gift for a Christian."
Yeah. He was really. I like Steve.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you got to go. In closing, what advice what tips could you give me for New York City and Lower Manhattan?
Okay, a great pastrami place.
You told me. I love pastrami.
Yeah, Harry and Ida's.
Where is it?
It's on 12th and A.
I'll go there right now.
In between 12th and 11th on A. Harry and Ida's. It's really good. You can get the big one or the small one.
Harry and Ida's?
Yeah, Harry, the name, and Ida, the name.
Got it. On Avenue A.
Yeah, don't fuck around with the meatball pastrami. Just get the pastrami. It has a little sauerkraut in it, and they just make it great. It's not overwhelming like the one on
I'll go there.
Harry Met Sally. Yeah, it's just great, really good pastrami. And then near here, the best pizza slice that I've heard from a guy who does pizza tours. This is new number one. Is Scar's Pizza. Scarrs on Orchard.
RRS?
Yeah, Scarrs. They spelt their own flour downstairs, and it's just with a burnt crust. It's a great slice of pizza.
Where is it?
It's on Orchard, south of here.
Orchard?
Yeah, probably a 10-minute walk from here.
Oh my God. Okay, that's and it's hard for me to come to New York and not
do the standbys.
Only eat pizza.
Yeah.
Just eat pizza the whole time I'm here. It's so freaking good.
Yeah. Great. Call me back.
The guy gives pizza tours. I love it.
Yeah. Wait. Hang on. Hello? Hi. Are you all set? Yeah. Give me 30 seconds. I'm going to go on hold and say goodbye. Okay. Thanks. things.
All right. We can wrap it up. I love you very much, man.
Yeah, I love you too, dude. It's great seeing you.
Thank you so much for rallying your listeners and getting Delta to reinstate my diamond status.
Yeah, I'm going to do my first podcast with a real intro this week, and I'm just going to give it up for how cool they are.
Yeah,
what we did.
Thank them sincerely, and please let's plan a trip to Romania or South America.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to fucking go traveling.
All right, my brother. Shalom, amigo.
Shalom. I'm going to take the steps now.
Long may you run.
Tom Rhodes, you're a funny man. Tom Rhodes, you're an international comedian. Tom Rhodes, karate kick, baby, oh yeah. Tom Rhodes, you're a groovy dude. You go all around the world, telling jokes to all of the people. You are an international comedian. You're funny to everybody in every single country in the world. Tom Rhodes, I like you very much. I think you're talented and very wonderful. Tom Rhodes, you're the best guy in the world. I wanna be your friend. You should call me sometime. Here is my phone number, 603-644-0048. Yeah. Tom Rhodes, you're an international comedic sensation. Tom Rhodes, I like to listen to your podcast. Tom Rhodes, you're the best man to ever walk on the earth.